takes a lot to be successful in the current economy. We know, we are, but we've had a lot of experience. We've survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and a lot more. Because of one quality: better.
Part of our branding is where better really matters, and that's a pretty out there in your face statement, and we believe in that.
BMI is always there to make sure that the heating and the air conditioning, the whole environmental process here at Lower Glen Bible Church is always done perfectly.
You can count on the fact that you're going to get quality service, and their dedication to that work is paramount, and it's unmatched by anyone.
They do what they say they're going to do.
Our company started in Burlington, Kansas in 1910, where Grandpa had brought tin and plumbing shop, and they were a small residential company. He was a husky 5'10", and his skill set in sheet metal layout, my father said that his father, Double E, was just unequaled.
In the 20s, Double E's son Gale joined the company. In 1927, their horizons widened.
They had just completed a Rogers dry powder milk system in Burlington, and the contractor was very impressed with the workmanship and asked my grandfather if he would like to come to California and do the same installation at California Dairies in Tipton, California. My father, Gale, was very much interested in doing that, so they packed up the family and they all came from Kansas out to California in a Model A touring sedan. My dad would tell of the stories where they would stop at tent camps. My father was a true outdoorsman, and he had his long rifle 22, and he would shoot a rabbit for dinner, for instance, and that would be their meal for the evening.
It was a very successful installation, such that the president of California Dairies wrote this testimonial letter.
Gentlemen, this is to advise you that the powder plant which you installed for us in Tipton last summer, and which was open on October 1st, 1927, has proven most satisfactory to us in every respect.
And that building is still in use today.
After that was done, it was time to go back home, except my father. He saw in California opportunity, perhaps better than he felt there was in Kansas, so he stayed here.
In 1930, Gale married Thelma. It was the height of the Depression, and Double E was not doing well in Kansas. So Gale persuaded the family to move back to Tulare.
In 1935, they established Brott Plumbing and Sheet Metal Shop. One of the items that they fabricated were hot water tanks, and it was of such a size that they would have to assemble out in the street. The police would come by and they weren't real crazy about that and would issue a warning. Fire wasn't with Double E at this point in time. He was grateful for his son and his son's ambition. Early 1940s was a very significant time. The schools were being built, and in order to facilitate those type of construction projects, you needed a labor pool that was skilled. My dad made the decision to go from non-union to union. Then we concentrated on the institutional work. It was just light years away from the residential marketplace. I think that he thrived on that. Installations in hospitals and schools and commercial buildings. He was very proud to be a part of that. It was a good mix between Mom and Dad, because Mom understood the finances and kind of put the fear of God into Dad on spending. In 1960, my dad was the first Carrier air conditioning distributor in Tulare and Kings County. And that's a pretty proud mark in our history. And in 1971 is when I became the president of the company. Prior to that, my brother and I would work for the company, and a lot of our formative years in learning this business was labor work, digging a ditch, and then we helped in installing plumbing. In the 70s and 80s, that was a boom time for our company, and it was also a time where I felt the need to grow into other marketplaces and go outside the Tulare County and go into Fresno. And at the same time, I also went into the Bakersfield, Kern County marketplace. The locals in Fresno in particular, they didn't like this little contractor from Tulare coming up in their backyard. The unions didn't make it easy on me. They made the Tulare company pay full travel and subsistence. So I had that disadvantage, but I didn't throw in the towel. I was determined to win that business.
And one large Fresno contractor, the Robert G. Fisher Company, was impressed.
Lotha Smith at the time was the chairman of the board, and he came up to me in a friendly way, but he said, "Brott, you're going to have to perform on these jobs." And I took that to heart, and I became the domineering mechanical contractor from Fresno to Bakersfield. With this Robert G. Fisher Company, who was very aggressive. The mid-70s, there was the county's largest award. It was a 3-year job at Valley Medical Center. Naturally, Robert G. Fisher was one of the competing contractors, and I was a strong choice of theirs. Now, this was a big job for my company. Not only was it big in dollar amount, it was going to last 3 years. And we were going to build a brand new central plant. They didn't close their doors during construction. We had as many employees on that job as Dad used to employ in a year-to-year basis just on that very job. We came out with our shirts on. It's just amazing that we were able to do that. It was a big turning point in my early career as I began to run the business.
Supporting Garth as bookkeeper was BMI's longest ever serving employee, Wilda Jetson, a part of the company for over 50 years. Wilda had time for everybody and became mentor to newly arrived Laura Van.
I worked for BMI Mechanical and BMI Mechanical for just a little over 30 years. I started out as a receptionist, and when I retired from BMI Mechanical, I was their financial controller. Garth is much more like Gail than he lets on he is, but he has all of those same basic qualities. He believes in the family atmosphere. He's a very hard worker. He's a visionary.
Qualities that were to prove vital to BMI's very survival.
Mid to late 80s and then the first part of the 90s, there was a huge construction slowdown. But what came available was California Department of Corrections. And the first job was Avenel State Prison. BMI Mechanical, Inc. was awarded Section 1500, the total mechanical. All of the plumbing and all of the air conditioning. That job alone was a $6 million job for us, a huge job for our company. We had some real good growth and we were just dominating the area. Then along came Madera Women's Prison. California passed a new law, and that law said that you are not allowed to have solder with lead. It's written in the specs. I didn't pick that up. My engineering staff, estimating staff didn't catch it. The foreman on the job didn't realize it. But the inspector early on realized it, and that inspector let us complete one building in its entirety, so all the walls were buttoned up, ready for final finish, and he blew the whistle on us. And it is said by my plumbing foreman that you could hear the inspector whistling, "Oh, happy days."
There were a lot of errors towards those last few prisons being built. There were a lot of errors in the plans and a lot of change orders happening that caused our company to have to put a lot of money out to get the job done and then go fight for the money at the end of the project.
And that's kind of what happened to the construction marketplace. It became so cutthroat.
So it was a very stressful time.
It just became tough to get a job at the right margin.
And that prompted the most momentous decision in BMI's long history.
It was October of '94, and I made the decision to shut down construction. And that was 4 departments. We had 5 departments.
We were one of the largest mechanical contractors in this valley. We had over 100 employees doing over $20 million worth of work.
My dad was still here, and he didn't like that. Well, I can tell you, his son didn't like it either. We had to do that to survive, and we kept our service department.
We went from 100 employees down to less than maybe 15 to begin with.
We had 3 large jobs going. No one walked off the job site. They completed all of those jobs. To this day, I haven't had one call back. So the workmanship, even in our darkest times, was still at a very, very high quality.
Now, another major decision Garth made a few years before became central to BMI's future.
Link knocked on our door in 1987. Preston Bond convinced me that through his approach to the service business, we could do far better than what we were currently doing.
No one else shared Garth's enthusiasm.
I was not in favor of it. It required a franchise fee that I didn't feel like we had the money.
That we were going to not be profitable until the 3rd year didn't settle very well.
Once we implemented and went forward with that, that was really our saving grace when it was time to get out of construction.
Looking back at our company and how we've been able to grow our business, wouldn't be that way if we hadn't made the decision to go with the Link system. So, very proud of that. We've expanded our geographic area. So BMI-PacWest takes care of Ventura, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo counties. 4 years ago, we brought on what we call North LA, Santa Clarita, Valencia, Lancaster, Palmdale, and we go into the LA basin as far as Burbank. I'm just a lucky businessman to have a great business today. And now my son is here. He's our general manager.
You know, even at a very young age, I always knew I wanted to be involved in the company. And I could remember my dad coming home on bid day and the excitement of winning new business. I majored in accounting and finance at college, and after college I worked for a public accounting firm for 6 years and earned my CPA. And after that I decided to make a little bit of a career change and pursue a sales position for a heavy equipment manufacturer. I knew if I wanted to come back to the company that I needed to bring something back to it, some knowledge and some expertise.
He's the new kid on the block. He's not without challenge from the folks that have been here a while, and I think he's proving himself each and every day. I think his biggest challenge is his dad.
He also worked for his dad, and I think he knows and was concerned about that relationship. So he's done a great job in mentoring me and giving me the freedom to make my own mistakes and make my way here in the company. I do feel a responsibility as a 4th generation brought to enter into the company. And I want to make sure that I can pass this business on to the next generation.
Having A family atmosphere is clearly a big part of the success of the years.
It's so nice to work for a small company that is family owned, where you're not just a number and you're part of the family.
The way you keep and retain personnel year after year after year is treating them right.
That means a lot to people, to have a boss that recognizes their abilities.
We've got a dedicated group and they're sharp.
I think the future for BMI is certainly bright. We're a company that's been built on innovation, ingenuity, integrity.
I do remember Garth's famous comment to me at the time when I outlined the project to him. He said, "Charlie, we'll get this done for you. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll get it done." And he did. It was on time, under budget, and spectacular in performance.
If an air conditioner breaks down even at night or on a weekend when we've got a large activity going on, they're there, it gets fixed, we don't have downtime.
I've worked for two companies that age 100+ years. First Pepsi Cola and now Nestle. And I can tell you the commitment to quality and perfection and that striving to improve is such a key that I've seen in these worldwide companies. And I see that same quality within BMI.
So all BMI should be proud of what we do.
"100 years is a special achievement, and it's quite clear to the Brott family that the reason we're here today is because of all the employees that have helped us get here. But personally, I'd like to thank each one of you for all of your hard work and dedication and personal sacrifice that you've made to the BMI family. I know it hasn't been easy. I know there have been challenges along the way, but without you, we wouldn't be here today. And I'm really looking forward to the next 100 years and being with you along that journey. It's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all that you do.